Cavaliers Thunder. Mark, that's a team that came in only giving up about 13 turnovers a game, and you guys forced 20 and really made things difficult for them. What have been some keys for this group with the length that you have of being in passing lanes like you've been?
I thought we did a good job on both ends tonight on a lot of possessions. Obviously, things we can improve on, but that was a pretty complete game in terms of identity on both ends. I thought we were tough defensively. I thought the game got called tight in both directions, and that contributed to the free throws. So, no complaints there. But we were physical tonight on that end. We basically rebounded even with them. We were in the paint at the rim even with them. And we had some really quality possessions on offense that got them moving around, especially in the first half.
Yeah, and I just wanted to ask you about that efficiency, really spearheaded by Shea. When he's operating the way that he is, how does that affect the other guys in terms of them being able to have efficient offense as well?
It's not top down. I mean, it's all five guys working together to create efficient offense. It's going to be different guys on different nights. He was obviously, incredible tonight. I thought he was really on the gas. That was a huge contributor for him. But I also think it's important to point out, the other guys that aren't having their big nights on this night and what they contribute to the team. I thought Dort was outstanding. Obviously on Mitchell, he went minute for minute with him in the second half, made him earn everything, and had a really good floor game on offense for the most part. I thought Chet Holmgren was incredible. The influence he has in the invisible parts of the game are unreal. And I thought Jalen Williams, he had 4 shots for like most of the game, and then he helped close that thing because they were going to double Shea every time he had the ball down the stretch. And to have another guy that can be a point of attack creator like that, for him to stay in the game long enough mentally to help us there was huge. And so I think it's important, on these nights when we have a guy that has a big night. It was Lou against Golden State, it was Shea tonight. We understand like the contributions we get across the roster, and how they influence team success and influence the individual success of the guys that have their night.
You talked about your attention to the scouting report on some of these big guys, and you mentioned that Mitchell got away from you a little bit. What did you guys do better tonight than you did in Cleveland?
More of a team scheme tonight. I thought that we more had 5 guys, keyed into the game plan with him and Garland, and on the glass, with the bigs, and like Lou's not an independent contractor that we hire out to guard the best players. I mean, we've got to do it with 5, and I thought we did that tonight.
And then you said the thing you said about Chet and the invisible parts of the game. What are some of those things that you see that maybe we might not?
I mean, the screening, the rolling. I thought Jalen Williams' last couple layups there, he's rolling to the basket. There's a reason Jared Allen isn't contesting that layup. It's the threat of Chet. It's the threat of him shooting, the space that he creates. There was a play in the first half where we flare screen for him in transition. Allen's chasing him over the top and basically removing himself from the help, and then we drive downhill and get fouled or score. I don't remember what we did, but just the space he creates and just what he deters defensively. I mean, he's a force back there, and for every shot he blocks, he alters 2 or 3, and then he deters the drive altogether on another couple. I mean, that stuff stacks up, to efficient defense, and that's there every night, regardless of whether he has, the biggest offensive night or not, or gets all the numbers that, get his name in the paper.
Mark, curious, it feels like now this week 2 fourth quarters bogged down by free throws. I'm curious how you summarize those periods and how you feel the team has responded, in the face of those quarters.
I thought the Atlanta one was different from tonight. I thought the Atlanta one, like I told you guys after the game, was a lack of discipline on our part. There was a lot we could have cleaned up there. I thought tonight the game got called tight, but it got called consistently on both ends for the most part. I thought every ref's going to miss some plays, but they were calling it tight. We were being physical. You got to touch that team up. You can't let them move freely. And so tonight I thought, it might have been a couple that we could have controlled, but I thought it was kind of the cost of doing business, but we wouldn't trade that out for the physicality that we got and the focus we got defensively.
Yeah, and Garland, kind of like Trey the other night, maybe some unforced turnovers here and there, but a lot of that felt, whether Chet's around or Dort's around. I'm curious what you feel all went into his 8 turnovers.
I mean, same thing. I mean, that's the trade-off, right? Like his couple fouls maybe that we took to put him on the line, but we were physical with them and we threw them off kilter. I thought Kaysen did a pretty good job on him for guarding it. It was his first time guarding him. I thought Dub did a great job on him. Wiggins gave us good minutes. Dort guarded him sometimes. Shea took him for a couple possessions. and we just did the job, regardless of who was on them. And like I said, we were touching those guys up tonight, both on the perimeter legally and then at the rim.
You might have just touched on it there, but you went with Kaysen down the stretch for the most part tonight. Was that kind of adapting to his big night, or was it more of a personnel thing?
What big night?
Kaysen's big night.
This wasn't his big night. He did the exact same thing he does every night, which is compete and play the right way and defend, and he happened to get 14 points tonight. But, when you're playing with a lead, he, it helps you slam the door on the game when you've got him at the point of attack on Garland, Lou at the point of attack on Mitchell, and then you can have Dub switch, you can have Dub handle Mobley, it moves Shea to a shooter, and you become tough to score on. And, when you're protecting 12-point lead, 8-point lead, that's why I did it.
Daigneault, guys. 52 of your 86 shots came in the paint. How important was it for you guys to not shy away from their win tonight?
Well, it wasn't, it wasn't like we were going in there and challenging them. I thought we did a great job of moving them out and moving the ball. It goes back to what I said about Chet. I mean, the threat of him shooting the ball. Jalen Williams banged a three in. The threat of him shooting the ball moves those guys out of the paint and forces them to either guard our bigs with their bigs or cross match, but it puts teams in a dilemma when we're willing to move the way we moved tonight, when we're willing to move the ball the way we moved the ball tonight, and that's what I was trying to get to with kind of the invisible contributions of our guys. I mean, that really got them moving, and that's a hard team to move around. It's obviously a hard team to crack, and we were able to crack them tonight, but it wasn't without great effort from everybody that touched the floor.
Can you just talk about the huge leap that Isaiah has taken on the defensive end?
Yeah, I mean, he's always competed. I think the leap has been more reps, experience. He's still a young player. He hasn't played, a million minutes, so he's still learning and still growing, but he's always competed, and that's the thing that I respect most about him is that guy's in every single play. We were showing blockouts before the game on film, and there was a play last game where Bay, is in the corner and crashing, and he turns around to hit him, and Bay, and Bay probably fouled him, and, dislodged him, and it's like, he's just willing to stick his nose in that play, and he always is. And he's taking charges. He's got his nose at the rim. And he's 185 pounds or something.
You mentioned the spacing thing with Chet. He seems pretty advanced at attacking the closeout when it comes. Is that something he naturally had when he came here? Or is it something you guys have worked with him on here?
He's a talented dude. He came in with a lot. He came in with a lot, and now it's about refining. It's about finding an impactful and efficient way of playing that fits inside the team, and he's doing that to a high level. And I give him a lot of credit. I mean, that's a guy that could easily be looking at the box score, head in the clouds, reading all your Twitter, feeds, and instead he's just thinking about the scoreboard and winning. And I thought that was on display tonight.
Couple more. Jared,
Remember, Shea is 38 in the third quarter, and then in the fourth quarter, after he sits out a little bit, comes in, doesn't score until about 5 minutes left. They made it a point to double him to get the ball out of his hands. Is that something that maybe you kind of get into to try to call something else to get Shea the ball a little bit more, or do you let the guys just figure that out by themselves?
I mean, you get to play 4-on-3, when he's getting doubled, and I thought, he found Chet on a roll. He threw the ball, I think, to Dub on a play where Dub threw it to Chet on a lob. Those are all because of their scheme, and you're playing, good players are playing with a one-man advantage. That's a good thing. And then we moved him off the ball a couple times to get it to him, and then we ran some stuff through Dub late so that we weren't seeing early double teams and possessions. And to have a guy, like I said, Dub kept himself in it. To have the other guys ready to execute when their number's called is huge. And then to have a guy that's got 40, and what I just said about Chet, that's just playing the scoreboard. I call a play for Dub. He's not rolling his eyes. It's not a protest. He runs the play, and he wants Dub to score because he wants to win the game.
Riley?
A little bit of a slow start to the third and fourth quarter, and you kind of used a quick timeout. Is there anything philosophically that you look for to depend on when you're going to burn a quick timeout versus when you're going to kind of let them play and figure it out?
It's more instinct. I try to let them play a lot, but if I feel like we're off track and we need a reset, then I'll call a timeout, and that's what I was doing.
And then Dallas Bertans got some run tonight. Was there anything about this matchup specifically that you wanted him on the floor, and then also just him staying ready as a veteran to always be ready to get in the game?
Yeah, I think it's a good signal to the whole team. Even if your number doesn't get called, seeing someone else's number get called shows you that you need to be ready. And the back end of our roster has not gotten a lot of early opportunity here, But they are doing a great job of staying sharp and staying ready. The guys that went to the Blue the other day gave great effort there. We have high intensity workouts on all the days that they didn't play. They come in and they work, and I give them a lot of credit. And he's done a great job with that, and just trying to keep him fresh and utilize his strengths against a team that obviously is hard to space against. But we're going to need everybody. And the bigger philosophical thing is, we're going to call guys when we get the chance to do that, and they need to be ready, and they've done a great job of that so far.
What did you make of Uz's night? He seemed to play really physical, really active during a stretch of the game where you needed that.
He was really good. And I thought, he's had some really, really good runs, really, really good stretches of games, and it's about now being able to be consistent with that and sustain that over longer periods of time. But he did the job tonight. I was very impressed by how he played in both runs. He stacked two halves together of physical, engaged basketball, and that's exactly what he's got to do. We have to keep the big picture in mind with him. He's a young player that's got a lot of runway, and the foundational thing for him is doing exactly what he did tonight. I thought he did a great job.
Thank you. Cliff, go ahead. You need one, Cliff?
Yeah, just one.
Last one, though.
Yeah, just your thoughts again. Shade looked more like the Shade we saw from last year in terms of the guy getting to the line, forcibly going inside out, not forcing threes, anything like that. It was kind of nice to see him get back to that and then still be able to put his imprint on the game while getting guys the ball.
Yeah, I thought, like I said, he was on the gas tonight. He played fast inside the offense and inside the actions. It makes it really, really hard to help on him. And when the ball moves and when the floor moves the way that it did tonight, and he plays fast, he's hard to deal with, as you saw tonight, against an elite defense. And that's why I continue to go back to the other players out there on the court. It wasn't like he just took over, and took on Cleveland. Like the thing was moving around, the floor was moving around. We became very difficult to guard. He played fast. He also made the right plays. And when we do that, we're hard to stop. But, we don't do it every possession. We have a long way to go. We got to keep stacking those types of possessions in games.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.